To this minute, no one knows who did it. Officially, the government is still investigating the incident, at least according to Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen. An attack on a church service attended by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua in Nyeri County has opened a window to gangland politics where might and brawn is fair game. Sober Kenyans are not happy with the Nyeri incident. We find out why. Away from the mountain, the waters of Lake Victoria are still reeling from the departure of the late Raila Odinga. His party ODM is caught between clashing waves as support for the broad-based government collides with contrasting opinions on the future of the party. A new cast is emerging, starring Winnie Odinga, flanked by supporting cast of Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino, and a few unnamed extras. On the opposite side is Dr. Oburu Oginga. We've got a commentary on the contest. On our final words tonight, the state of education is at issue with Bonyo's Bone addressing CS Julius Ogamba directly, and Kai Kai's Kicker patting the backs of our most overworked and underappreciated head teachers. Sam Sense is also on the education sector, trying to make sense of the grade D and E and the KCSE 2025 exam results. And on my take, it is the state of healthcare at issue. And I pose, who will save the people? Jamila's memo is still undergoing drafting in this new year. The gang is here.
Kipchumba Murkomen, these police officers' images are circulating on social media. So what are you telling us you have asked the IG to investigate? You cannot investigate yourself. This is a government attack, well known to Kipchumba Murkomen. Stop pretending that you are shocked that a church can be attacked.
Indeed, what a week it has been. In fact, what a month it has been. It's the end of the month, but there's been quite a bit happening, particularly on that front. But perhaps with this attack, it would be not particularly new, Sam, because it would seem someone was saying the former deputy president is like a presidential candidate in an unnamed East African country who cannot make a move without the police curtailing his every movement.
Well, yeah, a lot has happened the past few months, and we've seen what has happened in the region. But here in Kenya, I think it's been an eventful season, especially for Rigathi Gachagua on what he has had to deal with, whichever town he goes, whichever village he goes to, in regards to whether it's a church service, a prayer service, a funeral meeting, and
he's not allowed to pray, it seems.
Or play.
Or play.
Yeah. So it's serious that we've gotten to this. And I think for me what is shocking is to the extent that as a country we're willing to go to really go and find people in their places of worship. I think we haven't seen that in many years since independence, why you would have to attack people in the places of worship just for whatever reason that you may have. And probably there are genuine reasons why they need to attack. Never mind, it is obviously outside of the law. But for the innocent children, women, and indeed men of Witima ACK Church in Othaya, that you've waited for this day to go to your church, to give thanks to your Maker, and to pray for your aspirations, including the questions of the daily needs, like you talk about school fees. But then while you're there, you're attacked just because a political leader was in attendance in that church. Yeah. If you look at most of the attacks that we've seen, whether it's in Gatundu, whether it's in Limuru, those ones of the upper side of the Mount Kenya region, there's now emerging a consistent pattern. And I think when you look at the images of what we witnessed in the Othaya church, and you see those people that are shooting, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that police officers were actually involved. And I said this because if you are to look at even the statement that was sent by the National Police Service saying that the Inspector General, that is Douglas Kanja, has instructed the Internal Affairs Unit to go ahead and investigate that matter. Obviously, the Internal Affairs Unit investigates the conduct of police officers, whether they went beyond the law. So if indeed there's an instruction to the IAU to investigate police officers, then it's an admission that indeed police officers were involved in the event of Witima ACK Church. But then again, how much more information has the National Police Service provided? Why aren't they providing details? Why aren't you hearing of people being arrested? And yes, if it's the conduct of the police, there's another oversight institution, that is the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, currently chaired by, or not anymore, by Ahmed Issa Hassan, who is now a Court of Appeal judge. So we haven't seen movement. We haven't heard of statements being taken, but you've heard of declarations of whether it's the Deputy President, whether it's the Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, giving firm instructions that, or rather condemning those events, but at the same time giving instructions that violence is not allowed in this country, whether you're using it for your own benefit in terms of politically. But that has just been the statement, which is troubling at a time that you'd actually expect there is rule of law being applied in matters of investigating such a matter. So regardless of the political leaning that anyone has, surely we cannot allow this to continue, knowing too well that we're approaching an election. Yeah. How much more shall we say?
You know, what is interesting is now there is a pattern here. Anytime we see the police service involved in matters that are questionable, which is hooded individuals in plain clothes, looking, and I say looking like because I don't know, I don't think any of us knows anyway, goons. They're carrying crude weapons, and they are escorted by security officials, escorted by police cars, by police vans. I mean, I know we can play that again because I just like, you know, for all of us to see what that vision was like. These are people who are hooded in balaclavas, and they're hurling stones. One of them is, of course, you know, firing live bullets in the direction of a church. And that is what is very, very becoming a hallmark of any time we see violence in this country. And I think it is worrying and concerning. But also, I don't, you see, who are these individuals? Carrying, you know, djembe sticks, faces covered. AK-47s, yeah. I mean, is this the face? Yeah, and I'd like us to freeze there. Is this the face of the police force? Who are these individuals? I mean, you cannot tell me the police don't know who they are. And once we start to weaponize, you know, this kind of behavior, then who knows how far this will go. But I think the other interesting issue is I'm still at pains to understand what triggered all of this on Sunday. Like, what happened? Does anybody know and understand the genesis of it, Jay? Because people were in church, and suddenly the goons were outside, and there was fracas, and there was tear gas and commotion, pandemonium. You know, this was not, did we see rival gangs, you know, and then police are called in to try and quell the chaos?
Yvonne, it is outrightly a provocation by the police and the rest that they were hanging around with on that particular day. Because ordinarily we've witnessed such scenes, but the allegation has always been there were factions and the police moved in to quell them and all that. But if you get an explanation from one of our reporters, Kamau, who was present at the function, he says the church service had not even begun. People were settling in for the service. And all of a sudden, there's commotion outside and fire shots, tear gas, stones. A typical example of hell broke loose in a church.
Yeah.
And you struggle to find the answer as to who was the police coming to either protect or stop from doing harm or arrest. It's not clear. And this points to a very dangerous direction as we head to the next general election, because such scenes, we last witnessed them during the November 26 by-elections, where in some cases, the police outrightly took sides. And therefore, the continuation of this into the new year points to a particular script that the police command seemingly, and that they have admitted by instituting internal investigations, they have admitted that chances are very high that these are their own, and they're only trying to find out the why. So this indicates to a pattern that is likely to continue. And especially for the DCP party leader, if you look at the letter they've sent to the Inspector General of Police about a request to see him, they have indicated at least 24 incidences in the last 2 years that the police have interfered with their gathering, either in church or at a funeral or at a party meeting and all that. And this tells you something. I want to believe in this day and age there are better ways of keeping your perceived competitor in politics at bay. And what happened in Othaya is not one of them. The Inspector General of Police at least owes Kenyans an apology. Even if they're not going to do it to Rigathi Gachagua, but at least to Kenyans, because...
And to those congregants.
And those congregants. Because what we saw, and the kind of explanations that we've had, including today, by the Regional Police Command, is not holding. This is tragic, it's shameful, and somebody must bear the responsibility. And if they don't bear it now, a time will come that they'll have to bear this responsibility.
Yeah, I can only imagine, the children who are scared and crying. What do you tell them this Sunday about going back to church? Of all places, this would be the last place they would get to witness scenes like this. And speaking of the church, I'd like us to hear some reaction from members of the clergy, particularly the Mount Kenya West ACK Bishop, on that incident.
The police officers were recklessly shooting live bullets. It is evident that the goons who are throwing stones and carrying crude weapons were collaborating with the police in this attack. The burning of vehicles and deflating of tires were done at the watch of the police who are present. This clearly portrays the misuse of the police service to achieve selfish gain.
Indeed, the NCCK weighed in as well, as did Jubilee party leader. He's the deputy party leader, excuse me, also responded or reacted.
Tendo kama kile tuliona jana kule Othaya, without county security team ya Nyeri kujua ni nini ilikuwa inafanyika, kwa sababu National Intelligence Service officers wako mpaka kwa sub county. Kukiwa na kiongozi wa upinzani kama Mheshimiwa Gachagua anaenda kwa mkutano mahali 2-3 days mbele ya hiyo, wakuu wa usalama wa hiyo area wanajua.
Yeah, and the reason he knows so much about that is because he served in the previous administration and also was Interior Cabinet Secretary. And the reason he knows exactly how that works is because similar things happened under his watch as Interior Cabinet Secretary in a previous administration. I just thought I'd point out the irony of that statement. Everything he says is true, but yeah, he would know a thing or two about that. That aside, Linus, this is not about whether you like former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua or not, whether you agree with his politics or not. This is much bigger than whether you have good vibes or good feelings and, about this person or not.
First, I'm actually quite amused by we've seen former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i.
Yeah. You see how he knows how well it works?
Yeah, responding to this. And I'm just imagining somewhere down the line, former CS Interior Kipchumba Murkomen sitting to...
Anything is possible in Kenya.
If this doesn't teach politicians and people that serve in government that daylighting the equator region is about 12 hours and the darkness comes in, then
light again.
Light again. You know, don't ever think you're actually there for forever. Fred Matiang'i was a very powerful CS or under whose watch similar things happened, and worse even. If we remember the attacks on opposition leaders, the late Raila Odinga, there was this journey from the airport, you remember, one day, about 17 people died.
Yes.
And, you know, here we are, near the attack on Othaya. Again, if you look at the history of these politicians, including the victim of this attack, and that is former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. As Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua could actually have spoken in support of this incident.
In 2023, during the protests that were being run by ODM, he had a few things to say that were not too distant from this.
Absolutely. He was a hardliner. These were his kind of things and kind of moments. And look how quickly things change. But let's remove all these names and think about our country. Is this how we want our institutions to function? Is this the job that professional police officers are supposed to perform? How shameful. Look at the images there. And you notice there's a police vehicle and someone is right there throwing stones using the police vehicle
as a shield.
As a shield. This is an insult on the police uniform. This is an insult on the crown that they wear on their foreheads. This is a shame. Look at that one there with a big machine gun. Is that an AK-47 or is it a G3 rifle?
It's a high caliber weapon, no doubt. What are you shooting?
Who are you shooting at?
Who are you shooting? Which part of your training tells you as a police officer that you go out on partisan political assignments? This is irresponsible, and this is what will hurt our institutions. And it'll bite the same people, by the way. It will bite a lot of innocent people, but it will also eat the politicians themselves that give this kind of instructions. I'm just thinking of the irony that we deployed police officers to Haiti to fight gangs. And we have a gang-like deployment in Othaya, Nyeri, to attack a church, regardless who was in there, whether the target was a political figure in the name of Rigathi Gachagua. This is irresponsible. And by the way, this decline, we can trace it back to 2013.
Yeah.
And we've had people in positions of high responsibility that have unfortunately not really comprehended the weight of that. Even power actually comes with a lot of responsibility. It's to be used very sparingly and very responsibly. If our police officers are now sent to a church to sort out a political matter, the same police officers are expected to carry out heavy duties of securing this country. Among the police officers are some of our heroic people fighting terrorism. And by the way, keeping us safe in Bonny Forest, along the boundaries. You imagine bringing that up and then assigning them to some pro-government civilians to do a dirty job. I think this is really, really shameful. And you know, the act ends, but the shame hangs in the air like a bad smell. And I don't want to imagine the smell at the Interior Ministry and the offices of the government institutions that actually approved this. Because it goes now without saying that, oh, it's being handled by the Internal Affairs Unit. This was indeed an internal operation of the police service. How shameful, how shameful, how deplorable. Yeah.
Indeed. Sam?
Yeah, you see, there are times, if you recall, during the Gen Z anniversary last year in June, and the protesters were on the streets, and a couple of young people were killed. And then the president came out and said, shoot those guys on the leg to immobilize them, especially those that are targeting property. There's an MP who said, I dare say, shoot to kill. Mm-hmm. CS Murkomen said the police are allowed to use force, especially when their lives are under threat. For people who are attacking critical infrastructure, they should be shot. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, in this operation at Uitima, so the vehicles were protesting? The lives of the police officers were under threat? You needed to immobilize the vehicles? Really?
Well, the vehicles have legs.
Because indeed,
tires.
Because indeed, if the use of force is allowed in certain circumstances, what are those circumstances that these officers must have seen? And for the statement from the National Police Service signed by Mushiri Nyaga to say that the IG, having been made aware of the incident, has directed the IAU. So having been made aware of the incident, for him to direct the IAU, it means he must have been told. So in that information, he wasn't told the police officers that were actually at the scene?
Were those police officers even? Do we know?
Well, the other statement, I think, coming today says that IPOA is investigating. IPOA
Do those look like police officers?
Mm-hmm. IPOA only investigates police officers. So I bet they know, because police officers are known in the country. They are definite. They are not indefinite. They are not. I mean, they have, what do you call them? Service numbers.
Yeah.
Police officers can be accounted for by their commanders across the country. So to date, there's no information. There are no instructions. There are no directions. Suspend this one, interdict this one. No presentation in court, despite the promises included by Inter-Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen that this will be expedited. I think you're playing too much with certain matters, and you need to stop.
I think, Yvonne, Kipchumba Murkomen and Douglas Kanja would save this country a lot by giving us timelines. That we shall have a report that tells us who did this and on whose command. Because you can't expedite without giving us a time frame. You owe Kenyans, or at the very least, those young people who were in charge on that particular day, an explanation as to why they need to continue going to church. Because if you don't, then you've ruined their lives. They've got traumas about going to church. And to them, church is not that citadel of peace that they've been told in Sunday school. It is something else. So, Interior CS, the Police Inspector General, and DIG Lagat, because this falls squarely under him, they can do us a favor by telling us on Friday by 4 p.m. we shall have this information, because it is out there in black and white. They only need to put it in a police letterhead and give it to us.
Umesema umepatia deadline?
Itabidi.
Friday 4 p.m. Umesikia? Interesting times, and